Hello everyone, and today I'll be doing a quick general how to play of the game Firestorm Armada by Spartan Games. So without further ado, let's get right to it. I'm going to do a very quick demo game. Now this is not really a legitimate game because you have to have a certain amount of ships in your fleet, but I just want to do a quick how-to general for the rules. So here we have 3 Dindrenzi cruisers, and right here I have the Xenian League book for quick reference of those ships. And over here they will be facing off against 3 Terran cruisers. And once again over here I have the correct Alliance fleet guide with the Terran statistics in it. So without further ado, we'll get down to the initiative phase. So for initiative you roll 2 dice, so I'll roll Dindrenzi first here, and you add your fleet tactics. So for Dindrenzi it's 3, so that's a total of 11. And then we get 2 dice for the Terran tactics, and we get an 8. And it's +2 for the Terrans, so they get a 10, so they lose the initiative. So that means the Dindrenzi here will get to go first. Now the Dindrenzi movement is 9 inches, so I'll be able to get going here. So right from the front of the base to the end of the ruler here, so I can move up. Now, I could just move straight ahead here, which is 9 inches, but if you see, if I pull back here a little bit, the ship is quite pointing in the wrong direction here. It's pointing this way. Now the Dindrenzi forward weapons are forward fixed, so that means that there is essentially a thin band that follows right here from the front of the base. That is their firing arc. So if I was to move the ship like this, it would not be able to fire at the cruisers because they are, if I get that in line, they are way off to the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull back 1 inch, and I'll use my trusty turning template to place it here right beside the ship, and I can turn anywhere up to this 45-degree angle. I'm going to aim up very slightly so that my base and my ship now points directly at that ship. So I'll be firing at that one. Anyways, I'll place that template out of the way now. Now the other ships here, I could try to do the same. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to try to do that right now. This will require a little bit more careful movement. So now, as you see, I'm putting this one up ahead, unlike what I did with the first ship there. And the reason is because the Dindrenzi cruisers have a turn limit of 1 inch. That means that the ship must move at least 1 inch forward before it can turn. So right here I'm going to do that now. I'm going to move 1 inch forward, and then I can turn. So that's 2 inches I've done so far. I'll use this right here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Place that template there. 7. And I'll move up a little bit with the 8. I'll just slide that to the side just so the models are a little bit more in line. This one I doubt if I'm going to be able to get that far, but we'll give it a try. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and final 9. So I'm not gonna quite get that in line. Now it's okay to bunch your ships up like this. There is a rule in the book for what's called proximity vectoring. You shouldn't allow your models to touch. Most people, from what I can read on the forums and such, are okay with it. It's not really that big a deal as long as you're not doing it for too much advantage. So that's my movement. Now I will go ahead and commence firing. So both these cruisers are in line with this ship right here. And I'll just come back so we can see that their bases are in line with that ship. And what I will do is I will fire at that range. So I'll grab my tape measure here, and let's see what that range is. So starting from here, that's about 22 inches, and the other ship in the back there is about 24 inches. So this is peg-to-peg measuring. So that means I'm not measuring from the front of the ship here, I'm measuring from the peg, and I target. If I was to target this ship here, I would be targeting the peg here, not the ship itself. So just something to be aware of. So with these ships, looking at the rulebook here, the kinetic 4 weapons within 24 inches is 8 dice. So the way this will work is the primary ship you choose which one you're firing with. Doesn't matter at this point, but it will when your ships start taking damage. So I choose one of my vessels here. We'll just say the front one for the heck of it. It gets 8 dice. Now the second ship there would also get 8 dice if it was firing. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put these together. Now this is called linking fire in Firestorm Armada. So what that means is one ship gets all of its attack dice, and then any other ships that are combining add all their dice here, and then you half it, rounding up. So I remove this. So this is what I'll be rolling. So I take these dice, and I roll. So with cruiser against cruiser, I need 4 ups to hit. So I'll remove the misses. Okay. Oh, there's a 3. So I get 2 6s and 4 4s or 5s. Now the 6s are important because this game uses what's called exploding dice. Every 6 gives you another die to roll, and it counts as 2 hits. So I got 2 6s, so I get 2 more dice, and I get 2 3s, so that's nothing additional. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So that's an 8 result, and if I come over and check the statistics of a Terran cruiser, it has a crit rating of 6. Now, Terrans have shields. So what a shield does is it allows me 1 die, and much like the success rating on the other dice, I need a 4 up to remove something. Now you might think that that doesn't really matter at this point, because if I get a 6 result or higher, then it's going to be a critical, and I only get 1 die. But dice can explode as well. So if I roll a 6, that will take it down to a 6 result, and I get another die. And if I get a success on that, it might stop it from being a critical. So roll, and I get a 1, so that's absolutely nothing. So I get an 8 result, which is a critical. So I'll get 2 dice, and I'll roll, and I get an 8. So I would take a look at the critical hit table in the main rulebook here, and an 8 is fire, so the ship is now on fire. So it loses 1 crew point and gains a hazard marker, and loses 2 hull points. So you get a lot of these tokens with all the patrol fleets or the 2-player box set. So 2 hull points of damage. I'll place that right there. Loses a crew. Now the crew, according to the book here, is 5. So that will take it to a 4. Some people count up. I like counting down. It makes more sense to me, seeing as they give you 0 counters, but that's up to you guys. And put that 4 there, and it's on fire, so it gains a hazard marker. So hazard marker right here on there. Now, you see I'm putting them right on the base of the ship there. I find that's a little bit easier because you can pick up the ship, move it, and all the damage goes with it. Some people will place it beside the ship. That works too. I just figure it's a lot more moving about when you're actually moving your squadrons. So, that's it. The Dendrenzi squadron has made its moves and made its primary fire. Now I can fire torpedo weapons, and torpedo weapons here are 4 dice each. So these are also 4 arc. So you see the ship in the back here, it can fire 4. So if we look at the base, you'll see there's a little, this one's more in focus, there's a little X there. So this would be port and starboard, here and here. This is aft, and that's forward arc. So forward arc is actually a 90 degree arc, like this from the front of the ship. Port and starboard are this way, and aft is this way, just to throw up the metal horns for a bit there. And with this ship, the 4 fixed weapons are that band that I explained in the beginning, but these ships here have torpedoes in their 4 arc. So if you take a look here, I can go in that angle, which means all of those ships are in a line. Now if I was firing through the asteroid field here with regular weapons, my weapons could be impeded, which means I take half the amount of dice I usually get. But torpedoes ignore line of sight restrictions in that sense. So all the torpedoes I will fire at this ship. Now one thing to mention is if I wasn't playing this game by myself, you are supposed to declare all your weapons fire all at once. So I would declare my primary weapons firing and my torpedoes. So you might end up actually destroying a ship like this before you get to fire your torpedoes, which means your torpedoes go nowhere. But in this particular case, I'm going as I go, so it doesn't really matter. It's just me playing. My opponent's not going to call me out on this. So, once again, we link fire in the same way. So the first ship, whichever one I'm choosing here, gets 4 dice. The second ship adds 4 dice, and the third ship adds 4 dice. So this is the primary firing, so it gets all of its dice. All the ones put together here I have, so I remove the dice. This is what I get to roll. So once again, hitting on 4s. Okay, so the 3, the 1, and the 2, and that 3 misses. There we go, I get 1 6, and once again, 6s explode, so to a 2, which is nothing, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 5 is enough for the DR rating, which is 4, but not enough for the CR rating, which is 6. So that means it would be 1 point of damage. However, as we've gone over, turns get shields, so I'll get 1 die to roll against this. And with torpedo weapons, you get to fire your point defense systems. Now, point defense is 3 for Terran cruisers. Now, the one thing to be aware of is damage, like this ship has 2 points of damage on it, will remove the amount of dice you get for point defense and for primary weapons. It does not remove from torpedo weapons. So what that means is that ship will get its full amount of dice for torpedoes, but it's losing 2 die worth of primary weapons. So we'll get to that later, but for now we're doing point defense. So the rule is the ship that's targeted by torpedoes has to be the primary focus. So it will get 1 for the point defense because it's 3 usually. It's got 2 points of damage, taking it to 1. So that's 1 die. And then these guys will be linking their point defense to protect their squad mate. So they get 3 and 3, and then we half it for 4. So I got 1 shield, 4 point defense. Now, because the rules are identical for how these remove, you're allowed to roll them all at once. So I'll do that right now. And there we go. So remove that 1, the 2, and 3. So 1 extra die to a 6, extra die to a 4. So as you guys see, even if you've only got 1 die to take something away or to attack, it's always worth rolling. So my result is 2, 4, 6, 8. So that more than enough to remove all the successes from the attack, so the torpedoes are shot down. You guys will find as you start playing that torpedoes are sort of weak in the first couple of rounds until you start getting more damage on ships, like this one here. But later on in the game, torpedoes can be really powerful because they do not lose attack dice from damage. So, the Dendrenzi are now down. We'll pass our turn over to the Terrans here. So the Terran movement, according to the book here, is 7 inches. Just so you guys know, there are some extra things I could build on them, so I could have given them plus 2 inches for 5 points. But I'm just playing with the basic ship to give you guys an idea of how this all works. So it's 7 inches, so I'll grab my tape measure here. Oops. Okay, so 7 inches. So once again, I'll go from the front of the ship. I'll move forward, and I'm actually going to turn very slightly at the end there. Okay, this ship, 7 inches as well, and the one in the back here, 7 inches. Now the reason why I turn slightly away, whereas the Dendrenzis I turn slightly towards, is because the Terrans actually have better weapons in their starboard port arcs. A lot better than their forward fix. Well, not a lot better, but slightly better. And they also have torpedoes. So the torpedoes are in any arc, so they can fire like 360 degrees. Starboard port, obviously, only to the left and right of the ship. So we're going to do that right now. Now, usually it's better to target a ship with a heavy amount of firepower to make sure you crit it. And the reason is because you'll take more damage out of a squadron quicker, and you'll be able to weaken their firepower against you. Now, looking at the Dendrenzi statistics, their DR is 4 and their CR is 8. So I really have 2 choices here. I could fire each one of these ships individually at the Dendrenzi to try to take a little bit of damage on each one of them, or I can just link all of them and try to take out one of the Dendrenzi ships. So let's just try to link just to show that mechanic once again. And I'll grab my measure for the range. Okay, so shooting at that first Dendrenzi ship right here. That's about 16 inches, just a little over. That one's definitely over, and the first one there is about 15. Now the range bands for this particular weapon system is up to 16. I get 6 dice, and up to 24 I get, oh sorry, 7 dice, and up to 24 I get 3 dice. So we'll use this one as the primary fire because it's within 16 inches. That means I'm going to get 7 dice. So that's the primary focus right there. These two will add in the amount of dice they get, so the uninjured ship in the back would usually get 3 dice. So right there for its range band. Now the other ship there, you would usually get 3 dice, but it has 2 points of damage. So it usually has 3, 2 points of damage, removes 2 dice, so it adds 1. Now weapon systems always add 1 to it, so even if that ship had 3 points of damage, it would still add 1 die to this group. So this is the linking dice, so I've calculated out how much I have. I remove half of it, and that's the combined roll. And I will fire my torpedoes at the same ship as well. So I'll make my primary weapon roll here. Looks pretty good. So there we go. I got 2 3s, so I'll take those away. Once again, 4s are hits, and I got 1 6 there, so that's another die to a 5, so another point. So that's really good. So 2 4 6 7 8 9. So 9 is the result. Now Dendrenzi, unlike Terrans, do not have shields, and the reason is because they use ablative armor, ablative plating. So that's why they have such a high crit rating compared to their Terran counterparts. So that's enough for a crit. So that front ship takes 2 points of damage. Almost all the crits are 2 points of damage unless you get a reactor overload. So I'll put that on there right now. And I will roll crit, which is a 3, which is actually close to a reactor overload. It's a reactor leak, which means it gets a corroded marker. So over here, there is a corroded marker right there, and that goes right on the ship. Now, what a corroded marker will do, actually, I will explain that when it goes to the next turn. Now, Firestorm Armada is a squadron-based game, so what that means is if there were other squadrons of Dendrenzi on the board, or on this particular player's side, they don't have to be Dendrenzi, just allied with them. If you have other ships, I would be moving them and firing them right now, then it would pass back to the Terran side, they would move another squadron, and you basically go back and forth squadron per squadron until everyone has moved their ships at least once. So once that's all done, all ships are moved, then it goes to the next turn. Seeing as I'm only using 2 squadrons, that's the end of the turn right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick repair, and I might have a little bit of the turn sequencing a little bit off here, but I'm not too worried about it at this point. The corroded marker, I repair it on a 4+, so I roll this die, and if I get a 4 or higher, that goes away. It's a 3. That's a fail. That's really bad. And the reason why it's really bad is because corroded, what it does is it means if you don't repair it, you lose another hull point. So this 2 now becomes a 3. So that's really bad. That ship's basically being eaten away by radioactive leaks from the engines or some such. Over here we have a hazard marker on that ship. So once again, 4+, it will be repaired, and that's a 1. Now, hazard marker has a special sort of section of repair rules. So if you fail, in other words, you got a 2 or a 3, you would just lose a crew. Now, if you roll a 1, you lose a crew and gain another hazard marker. So that means the fires are going out of control, and that ship is looking really bad. So right here, second hazard marker, I'll place that right there. And it had 4 crew. And now I'll replace that with a 3 crew. So there we go. Okay, back over to the Dendrenzi, or sorry, actually, new turn. So we do initiative yet again. So roll 8, 9, 10, 11, because it's 3 tactics bonus for the Dendrenzi. And the Terrans, roll an 11, plus add 2 to it, 12, 13. Terrans are going first this turn. Okay, so I'll activate now. One thing here is there is a planetoid right there. That means any ship within 4 inches, which is going to be those 2, and I don't, no, not the third one. So these 2 ships here and here, they get +4 to their movement this turn. And that's because they can do a gravity slingshot off of this. So I don't know whether I want to use that or not. The rule is, with a 7-inch move, I have to move at least half of that, so that's at least 3.5 inches. Now, weapon systems are usually really good in range band 2, which is within 16 inches for the Terran weapons right now. So I want to stay slightly over 8 and within 16 if I can. But I don't want to let them shoot me in the rear arc, because it actually makes it easier for the ships to be destroyed. So I'll just go ahead and move this guy, because he's not going to get any bonuses to his movement. So I'll move up to here. And I think I will move these guys the same. So, although it's they're getting a slingshot, that would take their movement to 11. I can move up to half of that, so that would still be 5.5. So I'll just move 7. I'll ignore the slingshot for now, and we'll go from there. I'll just move that ship up. There we go. Okay, so now the one thing is with the Dendrenzi, like I said, they have ablative plating, so that's right there. Now what ablative plating means is that that's how they have their high crit rating. But once they're over half of their damage, which is 3 hull points or more because they're 4 hull point ships, then they lose the ablative plating rule. And what that does is that gives their crit rating a 2 bonus. So when you lose that rule, that crit rating goes to 6. So now this ship is actually quite vulnerable to be destroyed because it's now a crit rating 6 and it really has no other defenses. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fire all of my Terran weapons at this cruiser instead, and then I'll fire all my torpedoes at this cruiser. So you can split up your fire like that. You don't always have to fire at the exact same ship. So let's see what range bands these are at. So this one is 16, which is really good. And the far one there is also 16, and that one's 14 for the one that's a little bit closer. So that's really good range bands. So let's take a look here. Starboard port would be 7 dice. So we'll fire off of this ship here as the main targeting ship. So this is my 7 dice right there. And then the second undamaged ship gets 7 dice, and then the other ship usually would get 7 dice, but like I said, it's got 2 points of damage on it. You see that damage there? So it will get 5 dice. So I'm out of blue dice, so I'll just grab some of these. So there we go. So just to make it really visually easy for you guys to see how to half this stuff. There's my dice. I'll take half of them, remove them, and add these into the primary focus. My roll. I'll bring that down a little tighter. Okay, so the 1s miss, 2s miss, 3s miss. Okay, so we got 3 6s and 5 other successes. So the 3 6s give me 3 more dice. So 1 and 2 and a 6. So that 6 goes there. Put another die to a 5. So really good roll. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. So 14 is pretty darn high. Now, if I had gotten a 14 and the crit rating was a 7, it would be enough for 2 crits, and then you would go ahead and roll those and resolve them. But it's 14, so it's not quite enough for that. So that's 1 crit. So I roll. It's a 7. Take a look on the crit table, and that one is a hull breach. So it loses D3 crew points and takes 2 hull points. So here's the 2 hull right there. Place that on my ship. And D3 crew. So that's 3. And let's see, Dendrenzi crew are 4, so it goes to 1. Now the crew will be important potentially because you can board ships. So when you get really close, you can start sending over your boarding marines and try to take ships. You can prize them and that sort of thing. So losing crew doesn't seem important now, but it will be important later on. Plus, the how damage removes from the amount of dice you can roll for your weapons, crew loss will do the same thing. Now this particular ship has lost 3 crew and has 2 damage. So 3 is the higher loss, which means it removes 3 from all of its attack dice. So that's also very important to be aware of. So that's the Terran primary fire. Now torpedo fire, I declared it all on the ship with the corroded. So once again, we all know the range is there because it hasn't changed, so it's 16 inches. So that puts it over the 12 inch, within the 24 inch, so that's 5 dice each. So once again, we get 5 dice for the primary ship, which we'll say it's this one for the heck of it. 5 die for the uninjured ship, and then this ship, even though it's got 2 damage, still gets its full 5 dice because they're torpedo weapons, they're not degraded from it. So if I was to add all 5 of these to these 5, that's 10 dice. I have it, remove it. So this is what I'm rolling. Pretty good roll, bunch of misses, but some 6s. Okay, so 2 6s, 2 and a 3, that's nothing. So 2, 4, 6, 7. So that's enough to crit it, because remember, it's lost more than half its hull, so it's lost the ablative plating rule, which means its crit rating is now effectively 6. So that's a critical hit. But we can, like with the Terrans, they get their point defense. So point defense is 3 usually. Now, you'll see this ship has 3 points of damage, but you can't remove all the dice. You always get 1 minimum. So I still get 1 die for the primary. This ship is going to be adding 3 right there. This ship, remember, it's down 3 crew, so the 2 damage, even though that might affect it usually, I've lost more crew, so that's going to affect it. So that'll take my point defense down to 1, because as I said before, you can't go less than 1 die, so I add that in. I remove half of it. Add these together, that's my point defense. Pretty good roll. Not incredible, but good. So 1 6, so I reroll 1 to a 2. So that's 3 in total. Okay, so going back over to the Terran hits, that was 3 removed. That leaves a 2, 3, 4. So 4 is enough for a point of damage, so I didn't quite save the ship, because 4 hull points is all this ship has. So this ship is now destroyed, so it gets removed. Okay, so now if we take a look here, the squadrons are... That's the end of the Terran action, but this particular squadron has lost half of its hull points. So I go over to the book here, because I always forget which ones this goes in. I have a feeling I will be speeding this up in the video. Or I won't. Maybe I'll be lazy. Okay, here are the rules for battle log, which is what I'll be showing you as well here. So, this is a Tier 2 squadron. So, Tier 2 is half of its starting number or lower. So actually it's not half its starting hull points, it's half its starting number. So, no battle log points from that yet, because I have to destroy at least 1 more ship there. Or destroy a squad of Tier 2 models, you get half the initial hull points value of the destroyed models. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So battle log, just so you know, each side will have a log of points. This can go up and down depending on how well you're doing or how badly you're doing. And there'll be one here for the Terrans as well. So right now they're both at 0 because although some damage has been done, not enough ships have been lost to change this. It will be more important once you have smaller vessels on the board because they are easier to destroy, so you gain and lose battle log a little bit quicker with those guys. Anyways, that's the Terrans done, so I'll move over to the Dindrenzi here. Now, Dindrenzi have a 9-inch move, as we went over in the first turn there. I'll put my tape measure again. And I'm going to try, I'm going to take a quick look here. They are best if it's just over 12 inches. So I'm going to try to stay outside of 12 inches. Now you can pre-measure in this game, computer sensors and all that. So I'm not really going to have a chance to get into my optimum range. So I'm just going to go for it. Move that out the way. Place that there. Forward 1 inch. 2 inch there. See, I don't have to move the full 45. And then 3.5. So that's all I really want to move. This guy here, he can pretty much go straight ahead and then turn slightly at the end there. So those are both lined up for that front cruiser. I'm going to aim here. And once again, I'm going to link my torpedoes at the injured ship in the back. So we'll make that fire now. Let's see. It's within 12 inches. I know that because I can't get much better than that. So that's 6 dice. So once again, I'll be firing from the uninjured one first. 6 dice there. The other guy usually gets 6 dice, except he's got 3 damage, or 3 crew lost. So I'll remove that. He's linking, so I remove half of it. So here's where the halving becomes important, because you round up for halving. So there's 2 dice, so I'm only adding 1. So I get these, I roll. Ooh, not a good roll. Right here, I have 3 successes. So 3 successes isn't even enough to beat the crit or the damage rating of 4. So it doesn't even damage the ship. Basically, the firepower bounces off the armor, or the defenses kick into the ship, and nothing happens. I don't even have to roll my shield defenses for this, even though I could. But seeing as I haven't even rolled enough to damage it, there's no point. So that's it. That attack's essentially ineffective. So then we'll move over to the torpedo weapons. Once again, it's 4 dice no matter which range band I'm at. So 4 dice for the first ship, 4 dice for the second ship, because damage doesn't impede it. Remove 2 dice from it, so that's 6. And roll this. Oh, that's a lot better. Remove that 3, 1, 6, so roll another die to another 5. Good. So, once again, 1 for the shield in that ship. Its point defense is 3, so it gets full. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm firing at the ship in the back, and it's down 3 crew, so that would remove all but 1. So it's 1 shield, 1 point defense. Then the other 2 ships get to add their point defense of 3 each. So 3 plus 3 halved is 3. Add that in. Point defense roll. 3 fails. 4 and a 6, so 1 6. To another 6, to a 1. So that's 2, 4, 5 removed. So 2, 4, 5 takes it to 3, not enough for damage. So the Terrans managed to repel the Dendrenzi firepower, and then that is the end of the turn. So what we do now is we go over to repair. So once again, that ship has 2 hazard counters on it. So 2 dice for repair rolls. So 1's really bad. 2's pretty bad too, so that would mean it would lose a crew. That would mean it loses a crew and gets a hazard marker. So that crew number goes from 3 to a 2, and we gain another hazard marker, which means it will be rolling 3 dice next time. So that ship is basically a blazing inferno. Okay, now we go over to initiative again. 2 dice. So 9, 10, 11, 12 for the Dendrenzi tactics. Terrans get 9, 10, 11. So Dendrenzi are going first this turn. Okay, so I will take a 7-inch move. Because I want to get in there and show a little bit of boarding. Alright, move that in there. This one, I'll move on up as well. Okay, so both those bases, if I turn that one slightly at the end of its move, are within firepower of that cruiser, so I'll be firing there. Now, I could be firing there. What I'm going to do, however, is not shoot at this cruiser, because I want to board it. Whatever you're boarding, you cannot fire at. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare primary weapons fire on the ship in the back, and I'll fire my torpedoes at this ship. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is try to diversify all the fire. Now the reason is because when you use point defense, you can use point defense to defend yourself from boarders as well. You can only use your point defense once in a phase. So that means this ship is now left with a decision. Will it aid this ship's torpedo defense with its point defense, or will it take the boarding? Now, because it's the target of a attack, i.e. the boarding here, it has to use its point defense to defend itself. So essentially what I'm doing here is making sure that this one can't use its point defense to protect its shipmate. So, we're getting on to the primary weapon fire first. So they're both firing their railguns here. And I'm not in port or starboard here, so these guys have pretty weak guns to the left and right of them, but they're not an arc anyways, because I'm really trying to focus my good weapons there. So this is within 12 inches, so that's 6 dice. So obviously I'm going to be firing from the uninjured guy in the back. So 6 dice for the first one. The other guy would usually get 6 dice, but he's damaged by 3, so I remove 3, and then half that. You know what? I'm actually going to roll that as 2 separate attacks. Okay, so this is going to be 6 dice attack from one guy and 3 die attack from the other one. So right now I'm not going to link these dice. So that means I roll them as 2 separate attacks, which means I'll get shields on both of them. So the first one, I get 3 again, 2 4s and a 5, so that's nothing. This 3 die attack, I get 1 5, so that's nothing. So unsurprising there, I'm sort of in a weak position now as the Dendrenzi side. Now for the torpedoes, they're firing at the guy in the back, so he'll get, let's see, 4 dice. And 4 dice divided by 2 is 2, so 6 dice. Okay, so here's the roll. My camera cut out there a little bit. There's the torpedo roll, so 3 6s and a 5, 3 6s. That gives me a 5, so that's 1 more hit. So 2 4 6 8 for the dice on the rear torpedo attack here. So he's going to get 1 from his shield. Point defense, once again, is 3. So 3 for the point defense. Now, this guy, like I said, is being boarded, so he's going to use his point defense against the boarders, so he will not be adding. This guy has 2 points of damage to him, so that means he's adding 1. Halved is 1, so that adds all in there. I get 3 successes, so that basically removes that. So 2 4 5. And 5 is enough for a point of damage, but not enough for a crit. So right on there. 1 point of damage. Okay. Now the guy getting boarded, because that's all the torpedo runs. So the AP here is the assault points. So Dendrenzi have 3 each. So that's going to be 3 and 3. Do they link for boarding? That's a good question. Let's quickly check that. Okay, boarding is combined as per right there. So they're getting 6 dice for boarding. And not the best roll, not terrible. 2 6s and a 5. So 2 6s explode like the standard mechanic. With that, so there we go. That's the boarding result. Now for defense, the ship gets to use its AP, which is 3, and its point defense, which is 3, and it's undamaged, so 3. And these are combined as well. There we go. 3 successes. So that removes that. That's a 3 result, which, as that ship hasn't lost any crew, essentially the crew points here, which is 5 for the Terrans, that sort of indicates the damage rating that you have to beat. So I needed at least a 5 result as the Dendrenzi, so that is a failed assault. Now ships, when they assault, they only have enough troops on board to make 1 assault. So seeing as I've done that, there's an assault launched counter, so 1 on each of the ships. So they've done their assault. Okay, so now on to the Terrans. This is where things get interesting. So the Terrans are going to move. They can move 7 inches. Okay. That guy's within. And that guy I'm pretty sure is within as well. So those guys can get a boost from the planet if they wish. Now they have a turn limit of 1 right there. So I'm actually going to use the move template. right there. So 1, 2. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I will stop there, and I'll just sort of estimate this just for speed. Move these up in a similar manner. Okay, so now I'll declare fire. We're going to get the 2 damaged ships, so the 2 guys in the back, to link on the guy in the rear. And actually, no, you know what? They'll link their primary fire on the undamaged guy, and they'll link all their torpedoes on the currently damaged ship. And we'll go from there. So, once again, linking from the primary ship there, which is going to be 5 dice at this range band, because that's definitely within 8 inches. So there's the 5 dice. The other one ship has 1 point of damage, so it's going to add 4. That's the guy in the back closest to the camera. And the guy behind him has lost 3 crew, so he's actually minus 3 dice, even though he's only got 2 damage, so he would be adding 2. So adding that together and halving it because we're linking. Okay. Not bad. So 2 5s, 2 6s. 2 6s get 2 rerolls for nothing. So 2 4, 5 6. So that's enough for a point of damage on that rear Dendrenzi ship, because its CR is 8. There we go. And now for our torpedoes. Torpedoes at this range band are 4 for the Terrans. So that's 4 for the first guy, 4 for the second, and 4 for the third, because damage does not reduce this. So we're going to remove half of these, add these together, and this is on the ship in the front. Not the best of rolls, but could have been worse. Okay, so it's a 6 and 2 4s to a 2. So 2, 4. It's enough for a point of damage. So point defense is 3 on these guys. So that will be 1 for the main ship that's being targeted. It has to be the focus. The other guy would usually be adding 2, but he's linking, so half of it. 2 dice. And I get 1 6, which is enough to take that to a 2, so it's not going to do any damage, so I'm not going to bother re-rolling that 6. It's just shot down. So that's that. Now we're going to turn 3. Initiative for Dendrenzi. 4, 5, 6, 7 for tactics. And for Terrans, we get 6, 7, 8 for... Wait. That was 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't know where I got 4 from. 11. And 6, 7, 8 for Terrans, so Dendrenzi have it. So we're going to activate the Dendrenzi. Now, Dendrenzi have mines, so we're going to start doing something fun with these guys. Their movement, again, is 9 inches. So we're actually going to utilize that now. So they get a 1 inch turn radius, so if they go forward at least 1 inch. Go. Now they can turn 45 degrees this way up to 8 inches. So I'm actually going to turn up, and I'll do a little 45 degree turn at the end there. Not too worried about measuring it at this point. It's going to basically follow the same sort of path. And as they pass this point, they will fire a mine. Now mines are 4 dice for these particular ships, and just like every weapon, you can take 4 dice and 4 dice, and you can link the mine when you fire it. So I could drop either 2 mines that are worth 4 each, or I could drop, by linking, 1 mine that's worth 6 dice each. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to just grab a die. There's a mine counter right here. I'm going to drop that mine right there. And you can fire it anywhere within the rear of the arc during your movement, so I'm actually going to place it right there, because as that ship moves past, it linked and drops the mine there. I'm just going to put a die on it to remember. I typically use D10s for this, just because that way you don't accidentally pick them up while you're playing, because the game doesn't use D10s. It's just a lot easier to count for it. and not accidentally pick it up and say, oh, what was on that one again? But anyways, that's personal preference. You guys can do whatever you like. So the ships here, they have gun racks. Now gun racks enable Dendrenzi to shoot either to the starboard or port, but not both at the same time. This is opposed to the way that Terrans work, in which case they have starboard and port weapons. So if I had a group of ships here and a group of ships here, they could fire at both. With the Dendrenzi, with these guys here, if there was another target here, they would have to choose which one to shoot at. So just something to be aware of with Dendrenzi. Their main thing is forward firepower, so they're sort of not doing good in the position they're in now. So the torpedoes are going to be out of arc because it's 4 weapon, and as you see here, the 4 just misses that peg. I'm not sure if you can see that, but the line just misses it. So you can't fire the 4, but that's okay. We're going to use our gun racks, and this is within 8 inches, so it's 4 dice. So pretty poor, but I'll take it. So 4 dice for the first guy. We're going to main fire from the one in the rear. He's got a point of damage, so that would take it to 3 dice. And then the guy in the front is usually, let's see, he's down 3 crew, so he's -3 to his weapon, so he's only adding 1 die, so might as well combine for 4. I'm going to shoot this guy in the rear arc. Now, because it's the rear, it effectively counts the DR and CR of that ship, which are damage rating and crit rating if I haven't gone over that before, as if they're 1 lower. So right now, that ship is typically 4 and 6, which means it's now 3 and 5 for purposes of this attack, which means 4 dice might actually do something. So let's take a look. Nope. I got 2 successes, so didn't get anything. So onwards to the Terrans now. Now, the moment I activate this unit, this mine explodes because there's an enemy ship within 4 inches. You don't set off your own mines, but you can get caught in the explosion of your own mines. So if these guys were still here when these are activated, they would get caught in the blast radius as well. So any ship within 4 inches, which I'm pretty sure that's, yep, that's all of them, because that's touching the peg, and that's still 4, which is over the mine. I'm not sure if the camera really catches that well, but it is. So that's a 6 die attack on each of these ships just for activating. So I'm going to take some dice here. Now this is rolled as a single attack on each one. So 6 dice. This will be on the one in the back here first. Ooh, good roll. So 1 out of 3. I got 2 6s though. To another success. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7. It just gets 1 shield as its defense. 2, which is nothing. So that's a crit on that ship in the back. So, and that crit is a 5. If we go here, 5 is point defense network disrupted, which is good because that means if I try to shoot torpedoes at it next turn, it will not have its point defense, hopefully, although it's going to have a chance to repair it. So there's the point defense, and it was a crit, so this 1 point of damage becomes 3. So 3 goes in there. Alright, next ship, I'll do the undamaged guy on the front. So I got my 6 dice. Okay, 4 misses, 5 misses, 1 6, 2 a 4. So 3 is not going to be enough. And the furthest guy, so the other damaged guy furthest from the camera, that's just 2. So nothing there. So successful mine operation, I would say. Damage 1 of the ships with a crit, so that's good. Alright, now they get to do their regular movement. So, because the Terrans really don't have anything in the rear arc except for torpedoes, I'm going to try to spin around to face the Dendrenzi. So once again, we're going to use the template here, and their turn limit is 1. So we're going to do a real tight turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. And the reason why I'm doing that, it's not quite enough, but I could have almost got the forward arc in place there. So I'm actually going to turn him back a little bit this way, just so I can get that far Dindrenzi ship in arc. This guy here, considering that was in the front, I'm just going to sort of estimate these guys just to speed this up a little bit. So here will probably be able to reach about here, and here will probably be able to reach around about there. So there we go. Okay, now this is all going to be starboard port, so I'm going to shoot everything at the front one. Might as well try to take out the weakest link there, so to speak. So I'll just link everything together on that one. So that is, let's see, that's over 8 inches for all of them. So that is going to be 7 dice. So firing from the first ship, which is undamaged. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Guy behind him has 3 points of damage, so he's only going to add in 4 dice. And the guy behind him is down 3 crew, so I'll only be adding 4 dice as well, so 4 plus 4 is 4 to add. Ooh, terrible roll. So all these miss, 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 miss. So 2 6s so far, and 2 6s explode, so I get 5 in total, which is enough for a point of damage, so that 2 goes to a 3. And there we go. Oh, and torpedoes, I probably would have elected to shoot the guy in the back just in case I blew up the front guy, so we'll say they were going there. So let's see at this range. I'll have to measure that, because if it's over 12, it will actually make a difference. No, they're all within 12 inches, so it's just 4 dice. So 4 dice for the front guy, and then 4 dice plus 4 dice halved is 4, so 8 in total. Those misses, there's 1 6 in there, to a 1, which is nothing, so 2, 4, 6. So point defense is 3. So that guy would get 3 usually, but he's got a point of damage, so that's 2. And the guy in front only would get 3, but he's got at least 3 points of damage on him. So a minimum of 1, half to a 1, so he'll add in for 3 dice total. Okay, 1 6 in there. To another 6. To a 4, so really good roll. So 2, 4, 6. So 2, 4, 6. So completely eliminates this roll. So excellent job, Dindrenzi. Okay, so then we go on to turn 4. As you see, the once you get going in this, it's actually really quick to go back and forth. So much like most tabletop war games, the more you get going, the faster ships die. So on to initiative. Terrans, we'll get 7, 8, 9. Dindrenzi, boxcars, so there's no beating that, no beating that with a 15 result. So over to Dindrenzi. We'll get them doing their 9-inch movement. Once again, I'll measure the front guy and just estimate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I go sort of behind, so we'll assume it can do a similar arc right there. Okay, and what I've done is I've lined up their forward arcs on this guy, or actually I'm probably better off firing at that guy. We'll check the range bands. So range bands for kinetic weapons on Dindrenzi are in 12-inch range bands, if you're wondering here. So that's within 1 range band on that guy, and 1 range band on that guy as well. So not really going to make a difference here. That's going to be 6 dice with that range band. So 4, 5, 6 typically. Linking or primary focus on the guy in the back, he's got 1 point of damage as opposed to the guy in the front with 3. So 1 removes 1 from there, and then 6 dice minus 3 is 3. Having it is just 1 additional. So do I want to do that? You know what? I'm going to take separate shots this time. So 3 on this guy here, and then 5 on that guy right there. Do I want to do that? Actually, you know what? Let's do Yeah, let's do that. 5 dice on the guy in the back here, and then 3 dice on this guy, and then I'll fire all torpedoes at this guy just to make sure he's done. There we go, those are misses. 1, 6. Goes nothing, so that's still 4. That's still enough for a point of damage. They get 1 shield. Shield does nothing, like they've done all game. So that's a point of damage on the one in the back, so it goes to 3. There's that 3 there. And now the guy in the front here. Only rolled 1 success, so that's nothing. And then torpedoes on the guy with a point defense down, which is why I chose him. So once again, it's going to be 4 dice worth of torpedoes no matter who I'm rolling with. So 4, and then 4 halved is 2, so 6 dice. Okay, 5 and a 6, these are all misses, so 6. 2 or 3, so nothing. Alright, now we go over to the Terrans. Same sort of thing, we're doing a little bit of a circular dance here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So move on up to there. Do a little bit of fudging again. There we go. Okay, so now we'll fire all 3 of these on that guy up in the front there. So that's going to be, let's see, I think that's within 8. Oh, maybe not. Okay, both of these are range band 2, that's range band 1. So, range band 2 is the optimal with 7 dice. So, we'll link off of the undamaged ship again. So, 4 dice. Plus 3 is 7. That guy would get 4 dice. And the guy in the front has 3 damage, and he would usually get 5 dice, so that's just 2. So, these are all added up. Remove half of them. There we go. And keep in mind, because he's got 3 damage on him, he has lost his ablative plating, so he's now crit rating 6. And I think that's going to be it. 2, 4, 6 right there, so that's going to be a crit no matter what. We'll continue just in case, because it may matter. So, 3 6s. No, probably not. So 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9. The reason why I rolled that, even though I knew I had 6, is because if I can double that crit rating, get a 12, that means I can roll 2 crit results. And even though that's a definite death for this ship, I'd want to roll it because if I get number 2 here, the reactor overload, it explodes, which means it might even damage the ship in the back. So it's always worth rolling these things. So it's a crit, and we always roll the crit because if that was Snake Eyes, like I said, it would explode. So 7 is something else, which doesn't matter. So this ship is just destroyed. Okay, now going on to the victory conditions, which I really should have left that page open. Okay, so reduce a tier 2 squadron to half of its starting number or lower. So that had 3 ships, it's now halved or lower. So that would mean the Terran score would go up to 2. There we go. I'm not sure if you can get that in angle there. That's now 2. And that's it. So nothing too bad yet. Now, for reference here, lose a tier 2 squadron is minus 2 points. So we're actually going to call this right here because it's pretty definite that the Terrans are just going to mop up this solitary cruiser. But if we were playing with a bigger game with more squadrons on the board, let's assume that their attack actually destroyed this ship here. Then the Terran score, whoops, I gave this to the wrong guys. Oh well, doesn't matter. So the Terran score would have been at 0 and it would have gone down to minus 2. Whereas the Terrans would have got 2 for taking the squadron to half of its starting number, and then it would have got an additional 2 there, because when you destroy a squadron of tier 2 models, you get plus half the highest initial hull points value of destroyed models. So these are a hull point 4, which means you would get 2 victory points. So if we call that right there, just say that the Dindrenzi ship is destroyed. The end of the game would be -2 for the Dindrenzi, +4 for the Terrans. Therefore, it would be a Terran victory. Now, this game is, as I said, it's a bit of a mock-up, and the reason is because at the beginning of each of these books, and they're very similar for each faction, depending on what size game you're playing will depend on what your minimum requirements are. So even if we're playing a 500-600 point game, you need at least one Tier 1 squadron, which would be something like a battleship carrier, etc. One Tier 2 squadron, which could be the cruisers that we're playing with today, and at least one Tier 3 squadron, which would be things like frigates and that sort of thing. So that about sums up roughly how to play. There's a lot of information there, but those of you who are willing to make your way this far into the video, thank you for watching, and yeah, hopefully we'll do more of this. Bye-bye.